All right, somebody asked me to do a video of the boat, so I'm going to try to go through this in pretty much detail so you guys can see what's going on. First of all, we had this boat, purchased it in 2018. We had it on saltwater for about a year. After that, we brought it here where it currently is at Lake Hartwell. It's been in freshwater ever since. And so obviously the motor itself has never even been in salt water. So one of the things I added here is a sturdy ladder. Now, as you can see, it can easily be removed if you don't like the ladder in that location. And I've got the boat flipped around, so this is the starboard side I've got it docked at. So the ladder you're looking at is on the starboard side. But I really trying to get off and on the boat in rough seas has been an issue in the past, so I added that because we were basically using this boat as a cruiser. It started out life as a race boat, and we used it down in the Florida Keys as a cruiser. I just replaced this hatch, actually, just removed both hatches and just installed this hatch, and I'll be installing an identical one on the other side as well before you see this boat in person. These nets here, we also had replaced. Steve Marsh, who's one of the grand poobahs of this F-boat, he's actually the guy in the original brochure riding the thing at 20 knots. He did a lot of this work for us, but anyway, he put on these new nets. So these are the ones that allow the water through if you're in, high waves and things, but also they're super comfortable. We'll also sometimes put like some yoga mats on top of them, and you can walk on both style mats. These, just because there's a lot more likelihood of having water pressure, the holes are further apart. But as you can see, they've got lots of storage in this boat. You've got one bulkhead here. You've got kind of the main storage there, and then two more back there. We typically just use these big hatches. We don't do much with the other. And let's walk around to the kind of the front of the boat where we've got some interesting stuff. So these hatches here and in the back all have these solar vents, which I don't think are original to the boat, but are definitely nice to keeping the boat humidity down on the boat. And we have not yet washed this boat for the season. Trying to get a video out to make sure that you have an idea of what's going on. So after we purchased the boat, we installed this Harken roller furler, and anyway, this was the one that was recommended for this boat and has done a great job. Let's see what else is going on here. So obviously the other side is almost identical to the one we just looked at, and the hatch there, the one that I currently have the welcome mat on, is a hatch I'm going to replace this weekend. So by the time you see this boat, both new hatches will be installed. I do have a solar panel here. I just used to give the batteries topped off. That's not mounted. I just sit that there when the boat is not being used. And then I've marked all the cleats for all the lines, as you can see, on both sides, which is kind of nice. Obviously, not obviously, but one of the greatest things about this boat is that it can go in very shallow water. So as you can see, you can lift up the rudder, and you can also lift up the dagger board, which is over here, just by using lines. So red for up and blue for down, and you can get in about 1.5 feet of water, which made it super nice for going around Florida. And honestly was just an unbelievable godsend when we were in some of the shallow water out there. We've had times where we'll actually get stuck, and you can just chop off the boat, push the boat back, which is another reason why I installed that ladder, is that, in the Florida, the Gulf of Florida down there, and in the Keys area, the water's so skinny that sometimes you need to jump off the boat, push it off of a little sandbar or something, and then keep going. And this boat made that, possible. Even with a 4-foot keel or something, most sailboats, you just wouldn't have a chance. So as you can see, this motor here, I had this well professionally modified on Lake Lanier to accommodate this 4-stroke Suzuki motor. And what's really nice about that is you have controls here where you can raise up the motor just by hitting this button. So obviously you can turn it on and, you know, all your normal controls, but you can raise and lower that. So, you know, the difference is, you know, normally with the way people run these boats is you reach back there and pull it up, you know, by hand and lock it, and then you reach way down in the well, you know, halfway in the well, and unlock it by hand and let it drop. You know, you can do that. And if you use this boat primarily for racing, you might want to get a little battery powered motor, or almost like something just one step up from a trolling motor, or something really tiny like a 4 or 6 horsepower motor to keep the weight down. But for cruising in Florida, this is the right motor for this boat. Very reliable EFI, and the fact that it can auto, you know, the up and down auto tilt is just amazing. So you can see the nice cabin you have in the back here. So we actually had 5 people, my wife and our 3 kids, all on this boat sailing. Did an absolutely fantastic job. Anyway, what else can I say about this boat? So but I think you can see everything. All the electronics are all original, except and there is an auto tiller, but I use a modern chart plotter here, a Garmin chart plotter that comes with the boat, and that's what I've been using as opposed to the electronics that come with the boat. And there's the input for the auto tiller there. It basically goes between the tiller and then the electronics hook in right there. But anyway, it's been a fantastic boat. It's fast. I mean, you can get these boats up to 20 knots. We typically, when we're running down in Florida, if we have good wind, we'll sail 12 to about 14 knots, which, you know, as you know, for a sailboat is absolutely phenomenal. So anyway, you know, the other great thing about this boat is you can fold it in, and it's about 8 feet wide, and you can put it on a trailer, and the folding mechanism is actually super easy. You just pop these cleats right here, and then you don't even need to put down to screw down these screws. They're just kind of there. I mean, I guess just to complete the process, but the stay will actually hold the AMA out just under its own weight. So typically, you know, once you release the tension on the AMA, you can fold the boat right up. You just pop that pin. You just release a little bit of tension on the cleat, and then pop that pin, and then you're good to go. As far as folding it in, they're pretty well counterbalanced. And I think you can see from some of the pictures, there's a full Bimini top that comes with this that goes all the way forward, and there's a full tent that goes over this pop-up. So this pop-up area, essentially, it pops up, and then there's all these little guys here that essentially make it into a tent, and there's a little thing forward that will kind of, when you've got the pop top popped up, little snaps that go right there, and that will make this into a nice tent, and you can basically, you know, camp out on the water, or, you know, at the marina. And we did use that a lot, and that was really great. I think that's pretty much everything that it's worth mentioning. There is a shore power connection over here that you can use, and there's standard electrical inlets on the inside, you know, standard electrical plugs on the inside. I think that's probably all the good stuff. This emergency guy here, if the boat were to flip over, you can actually access that from the underside of the boat, which is nice if you want to put an EPIRB or a VHF radio or something in there. You know, obviously these boats are rated unsinkable, and they can, you know, people cross oceans with them all the time, but theoretically, you know, you could, you know, tip one, I guess, if you were in unbelievably rough seas. And so that emergency well there allows you to access your emergency beacon from either side. So from this side, or if it was technically upside down, And theoretically, you can even right these boats at sea by pulling in the amas and then having another boat, you know, tip you over. You know, there's videos of people doing that, but we've been in rough seas, you know, 14-foot seas or so, and about 30 knots of wind, and the boat did phenomenal. So, you know, I would expect that you're not going to encounter anything like that, but if you do, you know, the boat should be able to handle it. They are very well made. So anyway, so as you can see, there's a nice big cabin in the back here. You've got two portholes that open, that actually, you know, can be open to the screen, and you've got two windows, and then you've got a vent that's a solar-powered vent that constantly goes along with the light. And you guys can see what's going on there, and there's also a storage hatch down there as well. Now, there's also a very nice mattress that fits in there, and actually this is almost brand new. As you can see, it really, we haven't even, I don't think anybody's even slept back there since we put this new mattress on. Alright, so let's take a look at the inside of the boat here. What you have is you have a sink. You also have a couple of propane stoves. This is the one that's built in. This is the one that's kind of a camping one that I've been using. The interior, we redid obviously all the upholstery in here, and here is the chart plotter and the VHF handheld, fire extinguishers and so forth. So anyway, so we use that little compartment way in the back primarily for our flotation devices and things like that, and then we keep things like our radio and tools up here close. And then on this side, you know, typically the mats that go on the outside, and there's a couple of special poles and things you can use with the tiller if you're actually going to be, if you want to sit out on the amas and actually control the tiller. There is a nice trash can that comes in that's built in, and you can access that right there. And then if you look back here, you have kind of your main shut off, you know, on and off, and your interior instruments and so forth. So you know, your running lights and your cabin lights. And there's just literally just one cabin light in the main cabin and one cabin light in the head. But anyway, so what I typically do is when I leave the boat, I've got just a simple solar commander that I'm using with that solar panel you saw on top to keep the batteries topped off. So the head on this thing, you know, it came with kind of a traditional head, and it was all right. It you know, it didn't. I don't know. I thought it was a lot of work to actually use the bathroom. So what we did is we replaced that with a cassette toilet, which is really nice. So obviously, you know, you could theoretically get it pumped out if you wanted to, but what we typically do is just pull the thing separates in two, and there's a handheld unit that you just go. So if we're in the marina, we'll typically just walk that up and dump it in the toilet and come back. And obviously all the through holes are still there if you ever wanted to put it, you know, put a marine head back in, you know, for any reason. But you know, we've opted not to do that. But you do have a sink in the back, and obviously you've got a single berth in the back. This main area here, see these boards here? This is actually really nice. So what will happen is those boards will set across the center area. See how this lip is here? And this will basically make like a queen size bed. So this whole area will become a bed area. And so like I said, my wife and I used to sleep here kind of on the queen size bed. Our son slept in the single berth, and then our daughters slept in the double berth in the back. And so we got 5 of us on this boat, and you know, had no problem. But the thing is, there's nothing out there that's trailerable that, you know, that's quite like this. You know, that's the magic of this boat is that you know, you can basically have a blue water worthy boat, and you can put it on a trailer And so what we would do is we would go out for about a week at a time, and we would sail around, and then we would come back to shore, visit a town or whatever for a few days and kind of, get showered and all that kind of stuff. And then we would head back out, and we did that, for a year around Florida, which was our big adventure. And, it was great. It was great. So I definitely, was very happy with the boat. There's a little bit of storage on here. I basically put winches and things in there, and we usually keep waters right below the sink. But that's about it. There's not a lot going on in here, but I was able to, I'm a computer programmer by trade, so I would actually put a little piece of wood across here and do some work while we were under sail, and while we were, stopped out at places, and we would throw a little Honda generator up on deck, and if we needed power while we were out at sea, and that worked fine, like a 2,000 watt generator, and that was all we needed. We would be able to brew coffee, and we could even use a skillet, like an electric skillet and things like that for cooking. So we rarely, if ever, even use the propane stove. So anyway, I think that's the main part of this boat. You can see the item there. I believe the serial number here. Hopefully you can read it. I think this was a hull 242 built in 91. My understanding is that at that time period was kind of the height of these boats, and that was when Ian Ferrier was both designing it and actually building the boats. So the quality of these boats is obviously very high. The fiberglass is very thick, and obviously this is where your dagger board comes down. But yeah, I think the aspects of the speed of this boat and the trailer ability and the fact that you have all this deck space, because really you live up on top, and that's the beautiful thing, is that all the space on this boat is out on the deck. So if you're down in Florida or whenever you're out sailing, you can have people laying around and it doesn't feel crowded at all, because everybody's got their space. Obviously this is the battery compartment. I spend a lot of time in there, so I usually just finger tight these bolts and pull them out, and there's a little bit of storage that's here just for small things. But that's about it.